Okay, in this video we are finishing up the factoring trinomials, so we are on number 8. So if we look at our factor x, we want numbers that multiply to be a positive 4 and add to be a positive 2. So if we think about our factors of 4, we have 1 times 4 and 2 times 2. So if I think about 1 and 4, they add to be 5 and they subtract to be 3. Neither of those work with a 2, so I'm going to take those out. And so now I can try 2 and 2. If I add them, I get 4. If I subtract them, I get 0. So there's not a way to put these numbers in and get a 2. So if this happens, if none of your numbers work, that just means that this won't factor at all, which is fairly common. And if it doesn't factor, we just say that it is prime. All right, so let's look at number 9. We want a product of positive 24. Now remember, if your product is positive, that means your signs have to be the same. And then we want a sum or difference of negative 2. So if I think about factors of 24, 1 times 24, 2 times 12, 3 times 8, 4 times 6. So it's really tempting to go for the 4 and the 6, because if you make the 6 negative and the 4 positive, you do get a negative 2. The problem is the product would be a negative 24, not a positive 24. So we get ones that get close, but we can't get the right sign combinations. So in this case, we've got another one that doesn't work. So this one's a little trickier, but this one is also prime. All right, now if we look at 10, these last examples are a little bit different. You'll notice that we have a 3 in front of our squared term and that we have numbers that are all divisible by 3. So what we want to do is we want to take out the GCF first. So we did this in the last section. We're going to factor out that 3. So every term divides by 3 and we get y squared plus 5y plus 4. Now we set up our x. We want numbers that multiply to make 4 and add to make 5. Everything's positive. So that'll be a plus 1 and a plus 4. So when we set up our FOIL backwards, the thing we have to remember to do is we have to bring that 3 down because it's part of our answer. So it'll be 3 times y plus 1 times y plus 4. So if you leave the 3 off, it is incorrect. So you do have to make sure you leave that GCF. All right, so number 11, I'm going to put this back in descending order. That would be 3x squared minus 18x minus 48. I'm seeing that all of my numbers are divisible by 3. So that would be 3 times x squared minus 6x minus 16. So I've got to divide every term by 3. So I need a product of negative 16 and a sum or difference of negative 6. So to get 16, I can do 2 times 8. Signs have to be different. A negative 8 and a positive 2 make a negative 6. So when I do my FOIL backwards, I take the x plus 2, and then my other one will be x minus 8. And again, I do have to leave the 3. All right, so on number 12, it looks like I can take out a 2. So every term gets divided by 2. So 2 times x squared plus 11x plus 18. I need numbers that multiply to 18 and add to make 11. Everything's positive. So that'll be a plus 2 and a plus 9. All right, so I do my FOIL backwards. I bring down the 2, and I have an x plus 9 and an x plus 2. It doesn't matter what order you put those parentheses in. So you might put the x plus 9 first. Right now, the last 2 are the trickiest because they have a negative in front of them. So I don't particularly like this negative, and I also don't like the fact that my x is cubed. So since each term has an x in it, I'm going to factor out an x, but I'm also going to factor out the negative. So that's going to leave me with x squared. Now, if I divide a positive 3 by a negative 1, that gives me a negative 3, and I took one of the x's out, so I have 1 less x. And then negative 2 divided by negative 1 gives me positive 2, and I took out the x. So remember, when you factor out a negative, it does change all of your signs. So I need numbers that multiply to make 2. The only way to do that is 1 times 2. To get a sum of negative 3, they need to both be negative. So I'm going to bring down the negative x, set up my 2 parentheses. I'm going to have an x minus 1 and an x minus 2. And then make sure you leave that minus x in the front. Okay, so the very last one, I do want to take out the negative. If I look at my numbers, I think they're all divisible by 3, so I can take out a 3. And every term has an x in it, so I can also take out an x. So that's going to leave me with x squared. Remember, our signs are going to change, so a minus 6x. And then 81 divided by negative 3 is negative 27. And I took the x out, so it's gone. All right, so I want a product of negative 27, a sum or difference of negative 6. So 3 times 9 would give me 27. If I make the 9 negative and the 3 positive, that'll give me a minus 6. So you bring down the negative 3x, and then you have x plus 3 times x minus 9.